The F-16 Starcutter drifted through the endless black, its once gleaming hull now scarred by weapons fire. Inside the bridge, Captain James Hudson watched the last emergency beacon sputter and die, leaving them truly alone in the darkness of uncharted space. The experimental warship, humanity's pride and the culmination of decades of research, had become their prison. Engineering reports life support stable but running on backup systems, Lieutenant Olivia Chin reported, her voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. Main reactor is offline. We're operating on emergency power only. James clenched his jaw, remembering the moment everything went wrong. The classified mission to test the F-16's revolutionary void-piercing technology had seemed legitimate. Until their own escort ships opened fire without warning, trying to destroy rather than disable them. Only the F-16's experimental shields and Hudson's quick thinking had saved them from immediate destruction. Status of the quantum comm array? He asked, though he already knew the answer. They needed to understand the full extent of their isolation. Chief Technical Officer Raj Patel shook his head, dried blood still caking the side of his face from the initial attack. Completely destroyed. They knew exactly where to hit us. This wasn't random, Captain. They wanted us cut off. And the crew? James turned to his XO, Commander Diana Wells, who had just returned from checking their casualties. 3 dead during the initial attack. 12 wounded in medical. Dr. Zhang says 4 are critical. Diana's eyes reflected the dim emergency lighting. We have 68 souls aboard, Captain. All of them now officially listed as Kia according to Earth Command protocols. The words hung heavy in the air. They had all seen the transmission before communications went dark. The official report declaring the F-16 Starcutter lost with all hands during a classified test flight. A convenient cover story to hide the truth. They had been deliberately targeted, shot up, and left to die in silence. They never expected us to survive the initial assault, Tactical Officer Way Rodriguez added from his station, where he was still trying to piece together their defensive systems. The real question is why? What did we discover that made us a threat? James moved to the main viewport, studying the strange spatial distortion that blocked their path home, the phenomenon known as the void. Their mission had been to test new technology theoretically capable of penetrating it. Now he wondered if that had been their real crime, getting too close to whatever secrets the void contained. Navigation, he called out. How far are we from the nearest charted space? Lieutenant Kira Patel, no relation to Raj, consulted her partially functioning displays. At least 40 light-years from any known outposts, sir. We're deep in the outer dark. Even if we could move, there's nowhere to go except. She gestured to the void rippling before them. James studied his crew, some of the finest officers in the fleet, now abandoned and declared dead by the very institution they served. But in their eyes he saw not defeat, but determination. They had been left to die in silence, but silence had never been humanity's way. Give me a full inventory of our remaining resources, he ordered. Raj, I want options for restoring main power. Diana, coordinate with medical on rationing supplies. Way, repurpose any non-essential systems for defense. If they think we're dead, then we have one advantage. Time. Time for what, sir? Olivia asked, though the ghost of a smile suggested she already knew. James turned back to the viewport, watching the mysterious barrier that had been their intended research target. Time to make this ship live up to its name. If they left us here to die, then we'll do what humanity does best, survive. And if this F-16 was built to break the void, then that's exactly what we're going to do. As the crew moved with renewed purpose, James allowed himself a grim smile. They had been betrayed, abandoned, and left for dead in the darkest corner of space. But whoever had orchestrated this had made one critical mistake. They had given some of humanity's best and brightest a reason to prove just how far they would go to survive. In the darkness of the bridge, emergency lights casting shadows like war paint across determined faces, the crew of the F-16 Starcutter began their work. They had been left to die in silence, but their story was far from over. The void beckoned, and within its mysterious depths might lie not just their salvation, but answers to why they had been sacrificed in the first place. 2 weeks had passed since the betrayal, and the F-16 Starcutter had transformed from a crippled vessel into something entirely new. The crew worked tirelessly, cannibalizing non-essential systems to forge what Captain James Hudson now called their salvation project. The modifications to the void-piercing drive are almost complete, Raj announced during the morning briefing, his holographic display showing the complex web of jury-rigged systems they'd created. We've managed to boost its power by 300% by integrating the backup reactor cores. It's not pretty, but it should work. Should. Commander Diana Wells raised an eyebrow. That's not exactly reassuring when we're talking about attempting something no human ship has ever survived. The briefing room fell silent as they all studied the massive spatial anomaly visible through the viewport. The void hung before them like a tear in reality itself, its edges rippling with energy that defied conventional physics. Their original mission had been to study it. Now they planned to do the impossible, break through it. What we found in the encrypted data cache changes everything, Lieutenant Oliviachin said, bringing up another display. These weren't just research missions. Earth Command has been sending ships into the void for the past decade. They all disappeared without a trace. Not disappeared, Way Rodriguez corrected grimly. They were sent to die. Just like us. The question is why? What's on the other side that's worth sacrificing hundreds of our own people? James studied the data they'd managed to decrypt. Hidden in the F-16's classified databases were records of other ships, other crews, all declared lost in training accidents or experimental malfunctions. All of them had been sent to this same region of space, all with modified ships designed to probe the void. Dr. Zhang, what's the status of our wounded? James asked, turning to their chief medical officer. All but 2 have been cleared for duty, Dr. Helen Zhang reported. The modifications to our life support systems are holding steady. If we're going to attempt this, now would be the time. We can't maintain this level of efficiency indefinitely. James nodded, his decision already made. They had spent 2 weeks preparing, pushing both ship and crew to their absolute limits. The F-16's experimental systems had been pushed far beyond their design specifications, but they had no choice. Staying here meant eventual death as supplies ran out. Going back meant certain destruction at the hands of those who had betrayed them. Raj, how long until the drive is ready? Final calibrations will take 6 hours. After that, Raj shrugged. We either make history or become another statistic in their cover-up. 6 hours then, James confirmed. Diana, I want all crew at battle stations. If there are any personal messages they want to record, now's the time. We don't know what's waiting for us on the other side. As the crew dispersed to their duties, Kira Patel remained behind. The navigator had been unusually quiet during the briefing. Captain, there's something you should see. She pulled up a new set of calculations. I've been analyzing the void's energy patterns. They're not random. There's a structure to them, almost like. Like what, Lieutenant? Like a door, sir. One that opens both ways. And if I'm reading these patterns correctly, it's been opened before. Recently. James studied the data, his mind racing with implications. You think some of those other ships might have made it through? I think that's exactly why they tried to destroy us, Kira said quietly. We're not the first to attempt this. But we might be the first with a ship actually capable of surviving the crossing. The next 6 hours passed in a blur of activity. The crew worked with desperate efficiency, knowing each moment could bring discovery by those who thought them dead. The F-16 systems were pushed to their theoretical limits and beyond, its experimental technology repurposed in ways its designers had never imagined. Drive modifications complete, Raj reported from engineering. Power levels at maximum. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. James took his place on the bridge, surveying his crew. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing the risks of testing. Experimental technology. But none of them had signed up to be sacrificed, to be abandoned in the darkness of space. Yet here they were, about to attempt something that might well kill them all. All hands, this is the captain, James announced shipwide. Everything we've worked for comes down to this moment. We were left here to die in silence. Instead, we're going to do what humanity has always done. Push beyond the boundaries others claim we can't cross. He nodded to Kira at navigation. Take us in. Full power to the modified drive. The F-16 Starcutter's engines flared to life, their modified power cores screaming as they channeled energy into the experimental void-piercing drive. The ship shuddered, metal groaning as it approached the barrier that had swallowed so many vessels before. Drive stability at 80% and falling, Raj reported, his voice tight with concentration. Hull integrity holding. Barely. Energy readings off the scale, Olivia added. The void is responding to our approach. It's like it recognizes the drive signature. James gripped his command chair as reality itself seemed to bend around them. Stay on course. Push us through. The F-16 Star Cutter struck the void's boundary like a bullet hitting steel. For one terrible moment, it seemed they would be torn apart. Then something impossible happened. The barrier parted, dark energy coursing over their hull like liquid lightning. "We're breaking through," Kira shouted over the roar of straining engines. "The void is." Her words were cut off as space itself fractured around them. The F-16 Star Cutter, experimental warship of a betrayed crew, did what no human vessel had ever done before. It broke through the barrier between known space and whatever lay beyond, carrying its crew into an unknown that held either answers or oblivion. As consciousness faded, James had one last thought. They had been left to die in silence, but their passage through the void was anything but quiet. They were about to discover exactly what secrets were worth killing for. Consciousness returned slowly, accompanied by the taste of copper and the sound of emergency klaxons. Captain James Hudson opened his eyes to find the bridge of the F-16 Star Cutter bathed in an otherworldly light. Through the viewport, space itself seemed wrong. Stars burned in impossible colors, and the very fabric of reality appeared to ripple like water. "Damage report," he managed, pulling himself back into his command chair. Around him, the crew was slowly recovering from the violent passage through the void. Multiple systems offline, Raj's voice crackled through damaged comm systems. Main power at 40%. Hull integrity compromised in sections 7 through 12, but emergency containment is holding. The modified drive. There was a pause. "Sir, the drive isn't just damaged. It's evolved." Before James could question that disturbing statement, Olivia's sensor station came back online. "Captain, you need to see this. We're picking up signals. Dozens of them. Ships, human ships." The main display flickered to life, revealing a sight that stole the breath from every throat on the bridge. They had emerged into what appeared to be an artificial harbor carved into the very essence of space itself. And there, scattered throughout the ethereal docks, were vessels bearing Earth command markings. Some were ancient, designs from decades past. Others were more recent. All had been declared lost, their crews sacrificed to the void. "We've got incoming," Wei announced, tactical systems struggling to track the approaching vessel. Sir, it's the Hyperion. She went missing 3 years ago during a deep space survey mission." The comm system crackled with static before a voice cut through. Strong, female, authoritative. "F-16 Star Cutter, this is Admiral Rachel Torres of the Earthship Hyperion. Welcome to Haven. You made it through sooner than we expected." James exchanged looks with his bridge crew. "Admiral Torres was declared killed in action 3 years ago," Diana whispered, along with her entire crew. "This is Captain James Hudson," he responded carefully. "We were sabotaged, left to die." "Like the others, I assume?" "All of us were," Torres replied. "Every ship you see here was sent to probe the void. Those of us who survived the crossing found something extraordinary. Request permission to dock and explain in person. You'll want to see this for yourself." After careful scans confirmed the Hyperion's identity, James authorized the docking procedure. The F-16's damaged systems protested as they maneuvered into one of the ethereal berths, the strange energy of this space seeming to cradle their wounded vessel. Admiral Torres was waiting in the airlock when James arrived with Diana and Raj. She was older than her official photos, with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much, but her presence commanded respect. Behind her stood 2 figures that made Raj gasp. They were clearly not human. "Captain Hudson, meet our allies," Torres gestured to the beings. "The architects. They've been waiting for us. For all of us." The aliens were tall, their forms seeming to shift between solid matter and pure energy. When they spoke, their words appeared directly in James's mind. "You have done well to reach this place. Your ship's passage was felt strongly. You have broken through in ways the others could not." "I don't understand," James said. "Why were we sent here? Why the deception?" Torres's expression darkened. "Because certain factions within Earth Command discovered what the architects were offering and wanted to keep it for themselves. The void isn't just a spatial anomaly, it's a gateway. One the architects built millennia ago to protect something they call the Nexus. The Nexus holds the key to humanity's next evolution," the architects communicated. "But only those who find their own way here, who demonstrate the will to survive against betrayal, are ready to receive this gift." Over the next hours, Torres and the architects revealed the truth. The void was an ancient testing ground, designed to identify species worthy of joining a grand alliance of civilizations. Humanity had been approaching this threshold naturally, But corrupt elements within Earth Command had discovered the truth and tried to control the process. Every ship here represents a crew that refused to die, that found a way to survive and break through. Torres explained as they toured Haven's impossible structure. We've been gathering strength, learning from the architects, preparing. Preparing for what? Diana asked, though James suspected he knew the answer. To go back, Torres confirmed. To expose the truth and ensure humanity's rightful place among the stars. But we needed a ship like yours, the F-16's experimental systems, combined with what you learned breaking through the void. You've unlocked potential even the architects hadn't foreseen. In the heart of Haven, they were shown a massive chamber where engineers from a dozen lost ships worked alongside architect technicians. The technology they were developing defied comprehension. Clean energy that could power worlds, medical advances that could eliminate disease, propulsion systems that could cross galaxies. This is what they feared, Torres said quietly. Not just the technology, but the proof that humanity is ready for it. Your crew broke through using nothing but human ingenuity and determination. You proved what the architects have been saying. We're ready for the next step. James watched as Raj excitedly discussed modifications to the F-16 systems with engineers from other ships and architect technicians. The drive that had brought them here hadn't been destroyed. It had been transformed, just as they would all need to be transformed for what came next. How many of us are there? He asked Torres. With your crew? Over 1,000. Each ship that made it through brought not just survivors, but proof of humanity's potential. Now, with your F-16's breakthrough, we can finally begin the journey home. As James looked out over Haven's impossible harbor, watching crews from dozens of lost ships working together with beings of pure energy, he realized the true magnitude of their survival. They had been left to die in silence, but in breaking through the void, they had become part of something far greater than themselves. The real question now was, how would those who had betrayed them react when their sacrificed crews returned from the dead, bearing gifts that could revolutionize human civilization? The answer, James suspected, would shake the very foundations of Earth Command itself. The F-16 Starcutter emerged from Haven's modification docks transformed. Its hull now rippled with veins of architect technology, seamlessly merged with human engineering. In the 3 weeks since their arrival, the ship had become something entirely new, a hybrid of determination and discovery. The integration is complete, Raj reported, his eyes gleaming with excitement as he reviewed the ship's enhanced capabilities. The void-piercing drive isn't just stable now, it's teachable. We can show other ships how to modify their systems using our breakthrough as a template. Captain James Hudson studied the gathered fleet through the F-16's upgraded viewport. 15 ships, each declared lost, each carrying a crew that had refused to die. The Hyperion led the formation, its massive bulk modified with the same ethereal technology that now enhanced the Starcutter. Admiral Torres confirms the final preparations are complete, Diana announced from her station. All ships report ready for Operation Daybreak. James nodded, remembering the plan they had spent weeks perfecting. They wouldn't just return, they would return in a way that prevented Earth Command's corrupt leadership from burying the truth again. The architects had helped them understand the full scope of the conspiracy. Hundreds of ships sacrificed over decades, all to keep humanity from learning they were ready for advancement. Status of the quantum beacon? James asked, turning to Olivia. Charged and synchronized across all vessels, she replied. When we activate it, every communication system in Earth space will receive our transmission. They won't be able to hide what happened to us anymore. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their stations now augmented with technology that blended human intuition with architect precision. Way's tactical display showed capabilities that would have seemed like magic 3 weeks ago. Kira's navigation controls responded to thought as much as touch. All hands, this is the captain, James announced shipwide. What we're about to attempt goes beyond any single crew or ship. We represent everyone who was ever sacrificed to keep humanity in the dark about its own potential. Today, we break our silence. Admiral Torres's voice came through the fleet-wide channel. All ships, assume formation. Phase 1 begins in 5 minutes. Remember, we're not here for revenge. We're here to ensure no one else gets sacrificed for the truth. The fleet moved with perfect coordination, their enhanced systems allowing them to maneuver as one. The F-16 Starcutter took its position at the heart of the formation, its modified drive now acting as a beacon for the others to follow. Multiple targets identified, Wei reported as his tactical systems projected their exit point. 7 Earth Command battle groups within range of our emergence point. Heavy cruiser signatures detected. They're waiting for us, Diana said grimly. Someone on the inside must have detected our preparations. James smiled slightly. Good. That means the right people will be there to witness what happens next. Raj, begin the drive sequence. The F-16's enhanced engines hummed to life, channeling power in ways that defied conventional physics. Around them, the other ships synchronized their systems, creating a harmony of human and architect technology that had never existed before. Sir, Olivia called out suddenly. I'm detecting unusual readings from the void. It's responding to our presence. All ships report the same. The space around them began to shimmer, the void itself seeming to recognize what they had become. The architects had explained that this might happen, that the barrier between spaces was as much consciousness as physics, and that it would remember those who had earned passage. All ships report drive synchronization complete, Diana announced. Ready for phase transition on your mark. James took a moment to study his crew, no longer just survivors, but pioneers on the edge of a new era for humanity. They had been betrayed, abandoned, left to die in the darkness. Instead, they had found something revolutionary. Proof that humanity's potential was far greater than anyone had imagined. Begin phase transition, he ordered. Take us home. The fleet moved as one, their modified drives creating a cascade of energy that bent reality itself. The void parted before them, not as a barrier to be broken, but as a door to be opened. They had learned its secrets, earned its recognition. Through the view screen, James watched reality fracture and reform. This time, there was no violent passage, no desperate struggle for survival. They had mastered the crossing, transformed it from a death sentence into a triumph of human ingenuity. Multiple Earth Command vessels detecting our approach, Wei reported calmly. They're moving to combat positions. Energy readings suggest weapons charging. Deploy the quantum beacon, James ordered. Let's show them exactly what they've been trying to hide. As the fleet emerged into normal space, a pulse of energy rippled outward from their ships. In every command center, on every Earth vessel and colony, screens came to life with a single unified broadcast. The faces of the dead looked out at their would-be executioners, while architect technology demonstrated possibilities that could no longer be denied. Attention Earth Command vessels, Admiral Torres's voice rang out across all frequencies. This is Admiral Rachel Torres of the Earth ship Hyperion, commanding a fleet of ships you left to die. We bring greetings from the architects and proof that humanity is ready for its next great leap forward. You can fire on us if you wish, but you cannot silence the truth any longer. The F-16 Starcutter held position at the heart of the formation, its hybrid systems humming with power that Earth's sensors could barely comprehend. They had returned not as victims seeking revenge, but as pioneers bringing a gift that would change human civilization forever. Now came the moment of truth. Would Earth Command's leadership choose advancement or annihilation? The answer would determine not just their fate, but humanity's path to the stars. Silence hung over Earth's space as the returned fleet faced down 7 battle groups of Earth Command's finest ships. The F-16 Starcutter's enhanced sensors detected weapons locked on from all directions, but Captain James Hudson remained calm. They hadn't survived the void, hadn't mastered its secrets, just to die here. Multiple incoming transmissions, Olivia reported. Sir, the civilian channels are exploding. Our quantum beacon broadcast reached every colony, every outpost. They're all seeing this. On the main screen, feeds from across human space showed the impact of their return. Crowds gathering in city centers, military personnel abandoning posts to watch their supposedly dead comrades address the galaxy. The truth was spreading faster than Earth Command could contain it. Incoming transmission from Earth Command Flagship Independence, Diana announced. Admiral Chan requesting to speak with Admiral Torres. Put it through to all ships, Torres ordered over the fleet channel. Let everyone hear what they have to say. Admiral Chen's face appeared on screens across both fleets. He was older than his official photos, strain evident in his features. Rachel, we thought you were dead. All of you. That was the point, wasn't it, Marcus? Torres replied calmly. Easier to hide the truth if there were no survivors. How many ships did you sacrifice? How many crews did you send to die just to keep humanity from learning we were ready for more? You don't understand the complexities, Chin began, but Torres cut him off. We understand perfectly. The architect showed us everything. The reports from decades ago predicting humanity's advancement. The first contact that your predecessors covered up. The systematic elimination of anyone who got too close to the truth. James watched the exchange, noting how the Earth command vessels had not yet opened fire. On his tactical display, Wei tracked multiple ships breaking formation, their crews clearly conflicted about firing on fellow humans who had returned from the dead. If you know about the architects, Chin said carefully, then you know why we had to be cautious. Their technology, their offerings, it could tear human society apart. No, James spoke up, his voice carrying across all channels. It will lift us up. Let me show you. He nodded to Raj, who activated the F-16's newly modified systems. Around the ship, reality seemed to shimmer as architect technology merged with human innovation demonstrated its potential. Clean energy pulsed from the ship's core, while medical scanners showed the regenerative capabilities that could end disease. Navigation displays revealed paths through space that would make the most distant colonies accessible to all. This is what you feared? James asked. The power to end poverty? To cure illness? To unite our scattered colonies into one civilization? Look at my ship, Admiral. Look at what humanity achieved when pushed to survive. We didn't just break through the void, we mastered it. We turned death into transcendence. The tension in space began to shift. More Earth Command ships were breaking formation, their crews making individual choices as the truth became undeniable. The quantum beacon continued broadcasting, showing people across human space not just the returned fleet, but the possibilities they brought with them. Admiral Chin, Torres said quietly, you have a choice to make. Right here, right now. Continue the lie and watch your own crews abandon you, or help us build something extraordinary. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, from the Independence, all Earth Command vessels, stand down. Lower weapons. The order rippled through the battle groups. One by one, targeting locks disengaged. The threat of violence dissolved in the face of something far more powerful, hope. Captain Hudson, Admiral Torres called, deploy the gift. James nodded to Raj, who initiated the final sequence they had prepared. From the F-16 Starcutter, a pulse of energy rippled outward, touching each Earth Command ship in turn. Where it passed, systems transformed, enhanced by the mere touch of what humanity could become. What is this? Chin asked, wonder replacing fear in his voice as his own ship's capabilities evolved before his eyes. This is who we really are, James replied. Not soldiers in the dark, not ships to be sacrificed, but explorers ready to take the next step. The architects didn't choose us, Admiral. We chose ourselves, every time we refused to die in silence. The F-16 Starcutter's bridge crew watched as their gift spread through the fleet, proof that humanity's advancement couldn't be contained or controlled. It had to be earned, had to be chosen, just as they had chosen to survive when left to die. All ships, Torres announced, her voice carrying to every vessel, every colony, every corner of human space. Set course for Haven. It's time for humanity to meet its future properly. As the combined fleet prepared to move, James looked at his crew, no longer abandoned survivors, but pioneers of a new age. They had been left to die in silence, but in breaking through the void, they had given humanity its voice among the stars. The F-16 Starcutter took its place at the head of the formation, its hybrid systems humming with power that represented the best of both human determination and architect wisdom. They had started this journey alone, betrayed and desperate. They would finish it leading humanity toward a future brighter than anyone had dared to imagine. Behind them, the void rippled like a satisfied witness. Beyond it lay Haven, the architects, and the next chapter in human history. But the greatest victory had already been won. They had refused to die in silence, and in breaking through the void between death and transcendence, they had given their entire species the chance to truly live.